An espresso talk on grading order. So when you're grading student work, what order should you grade them in? Should you grade them in alphabetical order? Reverse alphabetical order? What's the fairest and best for the students? Well, one thing that we know from teachers, best practice, and also from actual research is that expectations cloud grading. Unless you're doing something totally objective, like a multiple choice Scantron test, if there's any subjectivity involved in it, what we expect from our students clouds our grading. We tend to give better grades on subjective grading to the good students and worse grades to the bad students. Kind of sad, huh? Because we expect the students to do poorly, some students, we actually grade them poorly. And we overlook some of the mistakes the good students make, thinking to ourselves, oh, they didn't really mean that. Now remember, this is if there's a subjective element to the grading, like with projects or essays or even short answers. So what do? Well, the best thing to do is to grade student work blindly, to grade the work and to not know at all whose name is associated with that. I do this with essay tests by flipping the pages so that I can't even see the names of the names on the test. Sorry about that. Shuffling the pages up and then just grading them, the essays, and I don't have any idea who wrote what. So that would be the best thing, is if you could grade them blind. But what do you do in the case of large projects where you know from the way the project's submitted in the notebook or online or however they submit it that you know who did it? Well, one tip I can give you there that works well for me is to grade the work in random order. That way, every time you grade, you're not grading in alphabetical order and giving advantage or disadvantage the students you grade first. If you grade randomly, sure, sometimes students come up first on the list, and I tend to grade harder on the first students that I grade. And then the last students that I grade in a whole set, especially if it's a big project, I'm tired. And sometimes they get the easiest way out. And those in the middle kind of get the middle. So if I grade in random order across a whole course, then I have more of a tendency for everybody to get a fair shake as they go through. How do you grade in random order? Well, it's pretty simple. If you have a checklist that you use for class, I just print out a blank checklist and then I get a random sequence of numbers. I use random.org. If you go to there they have a section called a sequence generator. So let's say I had 25 students in the class, and there's a list, and I have my students listed out by maybe their first name. Maybe the checklist that I have has them in alphabetical order by their first name. Well, I go to random.org, I find the sequence generator, I tell it to give me a random sequence from 1 to 25, and then when I click on that, that's what I get. I get this sequence from 1 to 25 in no specific order, and then I go to my list, and let's say the first number is a 7, I put that by student number 1. The next number would be a 14, I put that by student number 2. The next number might be 1, I put that by student number 3, and just copy all those numbers down. Then that's the order I grade in. So I then look on my list, find who drew the unlucky number 1, and I grade them first. Then I go to number 2, grade them, and keep on going through the list. Well, the next time that I grade a project for that class, I do the same thing. Pull up my checklist, print it off. I usually print off a copy, and that one copy is where I make all the notes about their grades and projects and things like that, and that becomes part of my files. Then I pull that sequence, random sequence, and write it all down. And now the first person may have pulled a 14, or the first person may have pulled a 1, or the first person may have pulled a 27, but it's random. Yeah, sometimes. I've seen the same student pull an unlucky number again and again, but it's random. I'm being fair as I can be, and it gives me a sense that I am grading the students as fair as possible. Hope that helps.